I'm with Tricia Miller from the Committee for Accuracy in Middle East Reporting and Analysis. Now, last time you were here, you got stuck here because of the war. Things are unsure at the moment, yet you actually came back.
Yes, I did, and it's really good to be back. And I actually don't feel like I got stuck. I really feel like I was supposed to be here then. It was a blessing to be here to stand with the Jewish people.
Yeah, I guess you actually got to share and experience all the things that they were going through, going down to bomb shelters and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, and I've never been here in a time of war before, and it was important for me to be able to be a first-hand witness, to be able to testify to the Christian world that has a lot of trouble understanding what it's really like here.
Now, you came back. What are you doing here at the moment?
Well, the timing for the trip is because I'm speaking in a conference next week that's hosted by the ICEJ, International Christian Embassy Jerusalem. They're putting on a summit to specifically address Christian anti-Zionism and theology that contributes to anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism.
So that's quite a subject, and it's quite a subject that's very relevant for this moment as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, we are dealing with a growth of Christian sentiment that is against Israel, a growth of Christian anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism.
Now, you are the director for Camera's Partnership of Christians and Jews. How is the Christian media when it comes to Israel and the conflict?
Well, there's some very good Christian media. CBN is my number one top favorite. They are very, very dependable to give you the truth about Israel. There's Christian media in the middle that is apathetic or not involved, and when, I think that they should be more involved and should be addressing the issues. And then there's some aspects of Christian media that are totally against Israel and are preaching falsehoods and bad theology to support those falsehoods.
Now, the Bible does talk about the land and a promise. It's very biblical, but are there some organizations that are actually against what the Bible actually teaches?
Yes, because they reinterpret the Bible to make it say what they want it to say. There's a rewriting of history. There's a denial of the fact that the Jewish people are the indigenous people of this land, that they have been here for thousands of years. And then there's bad theology that's been in the church since the early church that we now call replacement theology, that says that the Christians in the church have replaced Jews and Israel in the plans of God. So yes, there's definite Christian opposition to Israel being here.
Now, someone like Tucker Carlson is someone who is against Israel at the moment. How much damage does he do towards the Christian narrative towards Israel?
Well, he has done quite a bit of damage. In the last couple of years, he has hosted some outrageous sources on his platform, and he just gives them free rein to say whatever they want to say, to spread lies. I'm hoping, though, that he's gone so far that people are realizing he's really nuts. He's off. He claims to have read the Bible, but when he speaks, he obviously has no clue what the Bible actually says about the Jews or Israel.
Is he coming from a replacement theology point of view?
Oh, definitely. I don't know that he uses that term or if he would even understand it, because like I said, his knowledge is really very shallow. He's operating on a very uninformed and biased level. But yes, he definitely thinks there's no purpose for Israel, and he's very anti-Jewish. A number of the people he has had on and the comments he makes show he is very anti-Jewish, very anti-Semitic, very anti-Israel.
And I guess he's maybe dangerous because he actually has quite an audience as well, doesn't he? And a reach all around the world.
Yes, he does. But again, like I said, I'm hoping that he's gone so far that more people are recognizing he's off. He's really badly off. But he has had quite an effect on Christian support for Israel. He has some of the things he has said. He is part of dividing Christians in their support of Israel. He's also being very divisive between Christians and Jews. Jewish-Christian relations have come so far in the last 30 to 40 years, and some of the things he is doing and saying that is having a detrimental effect on that as well.
Now, does the Arab Christian media tend to lean towards being anti-Israel as well?
Yes, they do. They have an agenda. They want to legitimize their position here. They want to legitimize having an Arab state here, or as they call it, Palestinian. And they want to delegitimize the Jewish state and say the Jews have no right to be here.
How is Christian media in the West?
In the West, it's mixed, just like I said before. There's there's the middle-of-the-road people who don't do enough, who should know better. And then there's the very strong, positive Christian media that gives good coverage and tells you the facts about what's going on here.
Is replacement theology becoming stronger and more in some of these Christian organizations?
Yes, it is. Whether or not they identify it as that to themselves, whether they call it that or not, but it is, because they have taken the position that the Jews and Israel do not have any right to exist. They have taken in some of the outrageous lies and blood libels that have been spread, especially since October 7th, and that has helping to turn them away from standing with Israel.
And how do you counteract that? Because the reality is, if they're saying that, people are going to believe it, and they're going to start feeling the same way.
The only thing we can do is continue to teach, to get out the information, to counter the lies, teach correctly what the Bible teaches, and counter the lies in the media.
And how do you actually do the teaching? Do you go around to different churches? Do you use social media and things? So how do you actually do that to counteract some of the things that are going on?
CAMRA is a media watch organization that monitors all the media in English and Spanish and Hebrew and Arabic. So all of that media is being monitored and errors are being countered, corrected. If you go to the CAMRA website, camera.org, you will find an article on just about anything, any story that's been told about Israel, any blood libel, any inaccuracy. That is a tremendous resource for people to inform themselves. And so that's how we counter. And me personally, as a Christian, I do go to churches and meet with Christian groups and try to help inform them from a Christian perspective as well.
So when we read the media, whether it's Christian or whether it's secular media, and they say something like, oh, journalists are being killed, for instance, should we then go to your website and see the corrections that you've made to those stories so that we can actually know whether it's the BBC, CNN, or a Christian organization actually putting out is actually true and factual?
Absolutely. Because the lie, it's easy to tell a lie. The lies get out first, and then it takes time to correct, to research, and to present the facts, but it's all on the CAMRA website, and that's where you need to go. It's camera.org.
How are Palestinian Christian organizations?
Unfortunately, they're predominantly anti-Israel as well, because they need justification to support their political agenda. Their political agenda is to delegitimize the right of Jews to be in this land. And they are trying to legitimize their right to have this land. And they were not here first. It was the Jewish people here first.
Have you had to correct things from Bethlehem Bible College that's based here in Bethlehem?
Yes, Bethlehem Bible College and Christ at the Checkpoint, they are major proponents of this false narrative that says the Palestinians, which is how they refer to themselves, the Palestinians are the indigenous people of the land. The people who call themselves Jews, they say, have only been here for a couple hundred years, and they are essentially illegal occupiers because the Palestinians, so-called Palestinians, were the first ones here. They've created this entire narrative that ignores all history, ignores all archaeology in this land, ignores what the scriptures actually say to promote their political agenda.
It seems strange because you just need to read the Bible, don't you?
Yes, you just need to read the Bible, but you need to read it in context, and you need to take it literally where it says Israel, where it talks about the Jewish people, or where it has the word Israel. You need to realize it really means Israel. And what's happened in so many parts of the church is that they've taken that and said, oh, well, then now that means the church. And there's no such thing as the real Israel anymore. So yes, you need to read the Bible, but you also need to understand that when you see the word Israel, which is throughout the entire Bible, that it means Israel, this particular people and this particular land.
Of course, God brought them into the land, so they have a history of 4,000 years worth of history. He said he would throw them out, but he also said he would bring them back again. So every time God has actually brought the Jews back to the land, and even in 1948, that was a fulfillment of promise where God brought them back to the land again, a land which he said was theirs.
The fact that the Jews have come back and the fact that there's this strong, vibrant Jewish state is a real source of problem for the people who want to promote the fact that their belief that the Jews don't belong here, because they don't know what to do with that. Because Think about it. If God really has cursed the Jews, if God's really rejected the Jewish people, then how have they managed to come back from all four corners of the earth and build this amazing, beautiful state here? It's only because it is a fulfillment of prophecy. Every prophet, except for Jonah, every prophet has foretold this, that God will bring the Jewish people back from the four corners of the earth, and that's exactly what's happening now.
It does seem as though there is a battle going on for the Christian mind, as well as everyone's mind, but particularly for the Christians when it comes to Israel and the Jewish people.
That's because of a lot of things, but the propaganda in general from the mainstream media, the lies, the bias, but also the fact that more and more Christians are biblically illiterate, and pastors are not teaching their people why the connection between Israel and the Christian faith is so critical. They're not teaching their people that. So Christians are not understanding that our faith is nothing. The Christian faith is nothing without its roots in the Hebrew Bible, without its roots in Israel, without its roots in recognition that our Savior is Jewish. All of the disciples were Jewish. The whole New Testament was written by Jews. Christians have lost sight of that. And so when you lose sight of that, you lose sight of why Israel even matters, and then you are vulnerable to the lies and the propaganda in the media.
And do you think people can actually be vulnerable to anti-Semitism as well because of what they see with the lies and everything that's going on?
Yes, absolutely. More and more Christians are becoming, even if they don't use that term, they are becoming anti-Semitic, and I actually prefer to say anti-Jewish because that's more specific, because the Arabs are Semitic people too, but they're actually becoming more anti-Jewish and more anti-Israel.
Is there a need today to reach the young evangelicals today, the young people going to colleges as well?
Yes, and there is a lot of effort being done on that from Christian sources, Jewish sources. Within Camera, we have a very large campus department because they are the prime target, right? Everybody wants to convert them to their own particular dogma, whatever it is. And in this subject, it's to be anti-Israel. So they need to be educated as to what the facts are. They need to know where to find the facts. And if they're Christian or Jewish, they also need to understand the issues from their particular faith viewpoint.
We see them marching on the streets. Do they actually know what they're talking about when they're actually anti-Israel?
No, they don't. All of the demonstrations we've seen, especially where they chant from the river to the sea, and I've seen multiple people doing interviews and saying, what river, what sea? They have no clue. They don't even know. They couldn't find Israel on a map if you ask them. They're just going along with what they think is the popular thing to do now. Some of them, many of them actually are being paid. They've been recruited, and they're being told to say these slogans, and they have no idea what they mean.
What is your prayer for the church, particularly at the moment, with all these things that are going on with the war, then the anti-Semitism, and then the anti-Israel hatred? What is your prayer for the church?
Well, I would specifically ask people to pray for pastors at this point, and also professors in Christian schools, universities, colleges. Pray for an understanding for them, the leaders, the professors and the pastors. If they can catch this and understand this, then they can pass it on to their congregants or to their students. So my heart right now is outreach to those particular people, but I'd ask people to pray for pastors and professors to be open to learning more and understanding the critical importance of Israel to the Christian faith.
So if somebody's listened to the news and they've heard a story that's made them a little bit angry about Israel, and they want to know, well, was this actually story correct? Am I getting the right information? What is your website for people who can actually go on the website and see what you've been correcting as far as the news and the media is concerned?
The website is www.camera.org.
Well, Tricia, thank you very much for sharing today.
Thank you for having me.